You know those moments in life where everything changes in an instant, where the entire trajectory of your existence shifts and you can pinpoint the exact second it happened? For me, that moment came on a cold February evening, sitting in a hot tub with my best friend Tyler, watching steam rise into the winter air. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me start from the beginning. My name is Alex and I'm 24 years old. For the past 6 years, Tyler Matthews has been my best friend, my confidant, my partner in crime, and the person I tell everything to. Well, almost everything. There's one secret I've kept locked away in the deepest part of my heart, buried so deep that sometimes even I forget it's there. Until I see him smile, until he laughs at one of my jokes, until he throws his arm around my shoulder like it's the most natural thing in the world. I've been in love with Tyler since sophomore year of college. It started innocently enough. We met during freshman orientation at Berkeley, both of us awkward 18-year-olds trying to navigate a new city and a new life. Tyler was my randomly assigned roommate, and I remember thinking he looked like trouble with his messy dark hair, athletic build, and that confident smile that suggested he'd never had an awkward day in his life. I was wrong about that last part. Tyler was just as nervous as I was, just better at hiding it. We bonded over late-night pizza runs, terrible action movies, and our shared inability to understand our chemistry professor's accent. He was studying business while I pursued graphic design. We were different in a lot of ways, but somehow it just worked. He was the extrovert to my introvert, the spontaneous to my planned, the chaos to my order. And then, somewhere between cramming for finals and celebrating our first college football victory, something shifted for me. I remember the exact moment. We were at a house party sophomore year and Tyler had just broken up with his girlfriend Emma. He was putting on a brave face, but I could see the hurt in his eyes. We left early and I drove us to this overlooked spot outside the city. We sat on the hood of my car and he finally let the walls down, talking about how he felt like he was never enough, how he always seemed to disappoint people. In that moment, with city lights twinkling below us and vulnerability written across his face, I realized I wanted to spend the rest of my life making sure he never felt that way again. I wanted to be the person who showed him how incredible he was. I wanted to wake up next to him every morning and fall asleep beside him every night. I wanted everything. But Tyler was straight. He'd had girlfriends throughout college, including Emma, who he'd dated for almost a year. He talked about women the way straight guys do, never once indicating he might be interested in men. And I valued our friendship too much to risk it on feelings that would never be reciprocated. So I buried them. I dated other guys, had a couple of semi-serious relationships, and tried to convince myself that what I felt for Tyler was just deep friendship. Sometimes I even believed it. We graduated college, both got jobs in San Francisco, and decided to get an apartment together in the Mission District. It was a cramped two-bedroom with questionable plumbing and a landlord who never fixed anything, but it was ours. We fell into an easy rhythm of domestic life, splitting groceries, taking turns cooking, though Tyler's cooking usually resulted in takeout, binge-watching shows on the couch, and hosting game nights with our friend group. To everyone else, we probably looked like a couple. We finished each other's sentences, had inside jokes that spanned years, and knew each other's routines better than our own. My mom even asked me once carefully if there was anything more between Tyler and me. I'd laughed it off, but the question haunted me for weeks. The truth was, I was content with what we had, or at least I'd convinced myself I was. Having Tyler in my life as a best friend was better than not having him at all. I'd made peace with that. Until that February evening. It was a Friday, and I'd just gotten home from a particularly brutal day at the design studio. My boss had rejected 3 rounds of concepts for a major client, my computer had crashed twice, and I'd spilled coffee on my favorite shirt. I was exhausted, frustrated, and ready to collapse on the couch with whatever leftovers were in the fridge. Tyler was already home, which was unusual. He typically worked late on Fridays, often going out for drinks with his coworkers afterward. But there he was, sitting at our kitchen counter with 2 beers already open, a grin on his face that immediately made me suspicious. "What did you do?" I asked, dropping my bag by the door. "Why do you assume I did something?" He feigned innocence, but his eyes were sparkling with mischief. "Because I know you. That's your 'I have news and you're either going to love it or hate it' face." He laughed, sliding one of the beers toward me. "Okay, you got me, so remember my coworker Derek?" I nodded, taking a sip of the beer. Derek was the guy Tyler had been partnering with on a big project at his marketing firm. He'd mentioned him a few times. Well, Derek just bought this amazing cabin up in Tahoe, like right on the lake, hot tub, the whole 9 yards, and he's invited a bunch of us up for the weekend to celebrate, this weekend. That's cool, I said, still not seeing why this required his mischievous face. The thing is, Tyler continued, leaning forward, I told him I'd go, but then like half the people bailated because of some event in the city. So now it's just going to be me, Derek, his girlfriend Sarah, and he paused for dramatic effect. I convinced him to let me bring you. Road trip to Tahoe, man, it'll be like old times. I felt a mix of emotions. On one hand, a weekend away sounded amazing, especially after the day I'd had. On the other hand, spending an entire weekend with Tyler in what sounded like close quarters and romantic settings felt like torture. I don't know, Ty, I have a lot of work to catch up on. Come on, Alex, when's the last time we did something like this? Just us, the mountains, some relaxation. You've been working yourself to death lately, you need this. He wasn't wrong. Between work and trying to maintain some semblance of a social life, I had been running on empty. And the idea of seeing Tyler completely relaxed, away from the stress of the city, was admittedly appealing. Plus, Tyler added, playing his trump card, they have a hot tub overlooking the lake. Imagine sitting in hot water watching the sunset over the mountains, beer in hand. Tell me that doesn't sound perfect. I sighed, knowing I was already defeated. Tyler knew exactly how to get to me. Fine, but you're driving. His face lit up like I just told him he won the lottery. Yes, this is going to be epic, man, I promise. He came around the counter and pulled me into a hug, and I tried to ignore how right it felt to be in his arms, how his cologne made my head spin, how I wanted to stay there forever. I'm going to pack, I said, pulling away before I did something stupid. When do we leave? Tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Derek and Sarah are driving up tonight, so we'll have the place to ourselves for the drive up. I'm thinking we stop at that diner we love in Sacramento for lunch. The one with the crazy good pancakes. Obviously. I couldn't help but smile. Maybe this weekend wouldn't be so bad. Maybe it would be good for us, a chance to reconnect without the distractions of everyday life. Maybe I could just enjoy spending time with my best friend without overthinking everything. Spoiler alert, I was very, very wrong. The next morning dawned clear and cold, the kind of California winter day that makes you grateful for sunshine even when it doesn't provide much warmth. I'd packed my bag the night before, including swim trunks for the hot tub, warm clothes for the mountain weather, and enough anxiety medication to get me through what I was certain would be an emotionally challenging weekend. Tyler was predictably running late. I'd been ready since 7:45, sitting on the couch with my duffel bag, scrolling through my phone while he rushed around the apartment grabbing last-minute items. Where's my good beanie? He called from his room. Hanging on the coat rack where you left it 3 days ago, I called back. You're a lifesaver? He emerged from his room, wearing dark jeans and a navy blue Henley that fit him entirely too well. His hair was still damp from the shower, and he had that fresh, clean scent that always made my knees weak. You ready? He asked, grinning as he grabbed his bag. I've been ready for 15 minutes. Yeah, let's hit it. Tyler's car, a slightly beat-up Honda Civic he'd had since college, was packed within minutes. He insisted on driving, which was fine by me. I liked being the passenger, watching the scenery and controlling the music while Tyler narrated his thoughts on everything we passed. We hit the road at 8:15, which Tyler declared was basically on time, and merged onto I-80 heading east. The city fell away behind us, replaced by the sprawling suburbs and eventually the rolling hills of Northern California. I made a playlist for the drive, Tyler announced, connecting his phone to the aux cord. Tried to include stuff we both like. The first song that came on was Mr. Brightside by The Killers, a song that had been our anthem since college. Without thinking, we both started belting out the lyrics, completely off-key, laughing at each other's terrible singing voices. This was what I loved most about being with Tyler. The easy comfort, the shared history, the way we could be completely ourselves without judgment. In moments like these, I could almost forget about my unrequited feelings and just enjoy being his friend. Almost. So tell me about Derek, I said once the song ended. What's he like? Tyler shrugged, one hand on the wheel, the other resting casually on the center console. He's cool, Super chill, funny, good at his job, you'll like him. Sarah's nice too, though I've only met her a few times. They've been together for like 2 years, I think. And they won't mind me crashing their romantic weekend getaway. Dude, it was supposed to be like 10 people. They're probably relieved it's smaller. Plus, I talked you up. Derek's excited to meet you. I felt a small flutter of anxiety. Meeting new people always made me nervous, and I wondered what Tyler had said about me. Did he describe me as his roommate, his best friend, the guy he's inexplicably close with despite not being in a relationship? What did you tell him about me? I asked, trying to sound casual. Tyler glanced over at me, something unreadable in his expression. Just that you're my best friend and you're awesome. Why? No reason, just curious. We fell into comfortable silence, the playlist shuffling through indie rock and alternative songs that had defined our college years. The landscape changed as we drove, becoming more industrial as we passed through Sacramento, then more rural as we headed toward the mountains. We stopped at the diner around noon, sliding into our favorite booth by the window. The place hadn't changed in the years since we'd first discovered it on a road trip during junior year. Same red vinyl seats, same laminated menus, same waitress who looked like she'd been working there since the restaurant opened in 1952. The usual, Tyler asked, though he already knew the answer. Obviously. We ordered pancakes for me, French toast for Tyler, and enough bacon to feed a small army. As we ate, Tyler told me about his latest project at work, some campaign for a new tech startup that was either going to be brilliant or completely crash and burn. I told him about my nightmare client and the design concepts that kept getting rejected. You know what your problem is, Tyler said, pointing his fork at me. You're too accommodating, you need to stand up for your vision more. That's easy for you to say, you're not the one who has to worry about getting fired. They're not going to fire you, Alex, you're too good at what you do, trust me, I've seen your work, it's incredible. The sincerity in his voice made my chest tight. Tyler had always been my biggest cheerleader, believing in me even when I didn't believe in myself. It was one of the many reasons I'd fallen for him in the first place. Thanks, Ty, I said quietly. He reached across the table and squeezed my hand, a gesture that lasted maybe 2 seconds but felt like an eternity. Always got your back, man. We paid the bill and got back on the road, the mountains growing larger on the horizon. Snow had started to appear on the peaks, and Tyler turned up the heat in the car as the temperature dropped. So real talk, Tyler said about an hour from Tahoe, you seeing anyone? The question caught me off guard. We didn't usually talk about our dating lives in depth. I knew about his various girlfriends over the years, but I kept my own relationships pretty private, partly because none of them ever felt serious enough to mention, and partly because talking about dating other guys with Tyler felt weird. Not really, I said. Went on a few dates last month but nothing clicked, you. Tyler was quiet for a moment, his jaw working like he was chewing on his words. Nah, actually I've kind of taken a break from dating. Really, that's not like you. Yeah, I don't know, I guess I've just been thinking about what I actually want, you know? Like, I'm 24, I'm not getting any younger. Maybe it's time to figure out what I'm looking for in a real relationship, not just dating for the sake of dating. There was something in his tone I couldn't quite place. Almost like he was working through something internally, using me as a sounding board without fully committing to whatever he was thinking. Makes sense, I said carefully. Have you figured out what you're looking for? He laughed, but it sounded hollow. That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? I thought I knew, I thought I had it all figured out, but lately, he trailed off, shaking his head. Never mind, I'm being weird. You can be weird with me, I said, that's kind of our thing. He glanced over at me and there was something vulnerable in his eyes that made my heart rate pick up. I know, that's why you're my favorite person. Before I could respond, his phone started ringing through the car speakers. Derek's name flashed on the screen. Hey man, Tyler answered and the moment was broken. Yeah, we're about an hour out, sounds good, see you soon. He hung up and turned to me with a grin. Derek says they fired up the hot tub, it's ready for us when we get there. Perfect, I said, trying to ignore the knot of anxiety forming in my stomach. One hot tub, 2 straight guys in relationships, one straight guy who was my best friend and me with my inconvenient feelings and terrible poker face. What could possibly go wrong? The cabin was even more beautiful than Tyler had described. Nestled among towering pine trees, it was a two-story A-frame with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Lake Tahoe. The lake stretched out like a mirror, reflecting the mountains and the cloudless blue sky. It was the kind of place you see in vacation magazines and assume is too good to be real. Derek and Sarah met us at the door, both looking exactly like the kind of people who would own a cabin like this. Derek was tall and athletic with sandy blonde hair and an easy smile. Sarah was petite with long dark hair and the kind of natural beauty that didn't require makeup. "You must be Alex," Derek said, immediately pulling me into a hug like we were old friends. "Tyler's told us so much about you. Welcome, man, make yourself at home." "Thanks for having me," I said, already feeling more at ease. There was something genuinely warm about Derek that put me at ease. "Let me give you guys the tour," Sarah said, leading us inside. The interior was just as impressive as the exterior. Exposed wooden beams, a massive stone fireplace, a kitchen that looked like it belonged in a home design magazine, and leather furniture that probably cost more than everything in our apartment combined. "There are 3 bedrooms upstairs," Sarah explained as we climbed the stairs. "We're in the master. Tyler, we put you in the blue room, and Alex, you're in the green room right next door. They share a bathroom, hope that's okay." "More than okay," I assured her. "This place is incredible." "Thanks, Derek's parents actually bought it as an investment, but we get to use it whenever we want. It's our little escape from the city." She showed us to our rooms, which were spacious and comfortable, each with large windows overlooking the lake. Tyler's room was right next to mine, separated only by the shared bathroom. I tried not to think about the intimacy of that arrangement. After we unpacked, the 4 of us gathered in the living room. Derek had started a fire and the warmth was welcome after the cold drive. Sarah brought out cheese, crackers, and wine, and we settled in to chat. I'll admit I'd been nervous about spending the weekend with people I didn't know, but Derek and Sarah made it easy. They asked genuine questions about my work, laughed at my jokes, and shared stories about their own lives. Derek was in marketing like Tyler, but Sarah was a veterinarian, and she had endless entertaining stories about animals she treated. "So there's this couple who comes in," Sarah was saying, "with their cat who they swear is depressed. They want me to prescribe cat Prozac. I examined the cat and you know what the problem was? They'd moved his litter box, that's it. Moved it back, cat was fine." We all laughed and I felt Tyler's knee bump against mine on the couch. We were sitting close, closer than strictly necessary given the amount of seating available, but it felt natural. This was how we always sat. "You guys hungry?" Derek asked. "I was thinking we could grill some steaks, make a salad, keep it simple tonight." "Sounds perfect," Tyler said. "Want help?" "Sure, you and I can man the grill. Alex, you want to help Sarah with the salad." I followed Sarah into the kitchen while Tyler and Derek headed out to the deck where the grill was set up. Through the window, I could see them laughing about something, their breath visible in the cold air. "They're good friends," Sarah commented, following my gaze. "Derek's always talking about Tyler, says he's the best person he's ever worked with." "Tyler has that effect on people," I said, starting to chop vegetables. "You two seem really close." There was something in her tone that made me look up. She was smiling, but there was a knowing quality to it that made me nervous. "We've been best friends since college," I said carefully. "That's really special. Derek and I have been together for 2 years and I'm still trying to get that comfortable with him." She laughed, but then her expression turned more serious. "Can I ask you something, and you can totally tell me to mind my own business?" My heart started racing. "Sure. Are you and Tyler," she made a vague gesture, "together?" "No," I said quickly, maybe too quickly. "No, we're just friends," he's straight. "Oh," she looked genuinely surprised. "Sorry, I just assumed, the way he talks about you, the way you are together, I would have sworn you were a couple." I focused very intently on the tomato I was cutting. "We're close, but it's platonic, always has been." "Got it, sorry, I didn't mean to make things weird. Derek always tells me I'm too nosy." "It's fine," I assured her, though my hands were shaking slightly. "You're not the first person to think that." She was quiet for a moment, then said softly, "For what it's worth, the way he looks at you, I don't know, maybe I'm reading into things, but that doesn't look platonic to me." I didn't know what to say to that, so I just focused on finishing the salad. But her words echoed in my head, mixing with the things Tyler had said in the car about taking a break from dating, about figuring out what he wanted. No, I couldn't let myself go there. That path led to heartbreak. Dinner was delicious, the steaks cooked perfectly, paired with the salad and roasted potatoes Sarah had made. We ate at the large dining table, lit by candles and the soft glow from the fireplace. The conversation flowed easily, jumping from topic to topic with the kind of natural rhythm that comes when everyone's comfortable. "So what's the plan for tomorrow?" Tyler asked as we cleared the dishes. "I was thinking we could hit the slopes in the morning," Derek suggested. "There's a great ski resort about 20 minutes from here, then come back, relax, maybe fire up the hot tub in the evening." "Sounds perfect," Tyler said, looking at me. "You up for skiing?" "I haven't been in years, but sure. I'll probably spend most of my time falling, but I'm game." "I'll stay with you on the bunny slopes," Tyler offered with a grin. "Can't let you have all the fun wiping out alone." After dinner, we moved back to the living room. Derek suggested we play Cards Against Humanity, which devolved into the kind of inappropriate, hilarious chaos the game was designed to create. Sarah won most rounds with combinations so dark and twisted that even Derek looked shocked. "How did I not know this about you?" he asked her after a particularly disturbing winning card. "I contain multitudes," she said with a wicked smile. By 11, we were all yawning. Sarah was curled up against Derek on the couch, and Tyler and I had migrated to the floor, leaning against the couch with blankets wrapped around us. "I think I'm ready for bed," Sarah announced, standing and stretching. "Big day tomorrow." We all agreed and headed upstairs. Sarah and Derek disappeared into their room with whispered goodnights, leaving Tyler and me alone in the hallway. "This is nice," Tyler said quietly, standing outside his room. "Thanks for coming." "Thanks for inviting me, you were right, I needed this." He smiled, and in the dim hallway light he looked softer somehow. "Younger, sweet dreams, Alex." "You too." I went into my room and closed the door, leaning against it and taking a deep breath. I could hear Tyler moving around in the next room, the sound of him brushing his teeth in the bathroom we shared, the creak of his bed as he got in. I changed into pajamas and crawled into bed, exhausted from the day but knowing sleep wouldn't come easily. Sarah's words kept playing in my head. "The way he looks at you, that doesn't look platonic to me." But she was wrong, she had to be. Tyler was my best friend and that was all he'd ever be. I needed to accept that and stop torturing myself with impossible fantasies. I was still awake an hour later when I heard it, a soft knock on the bathroom door. "Alex," Tyler's voice was quiet. "You awake?" I got up and opened the bathroom door. Tyler was standing there in flannel pajama pants and a t-shirt, his hair messy, looking uncertain. "Can't sleep?" I asked. "Nah, too wired from all the excitement, I guess. Want to watch something? We could go downstairs or..." He gestured to his room. Every sensible part of my brain was screaming at me to say no, to maintain boundaries, to protect myself. But it was Tyler, and I'd never been able to say no to him. "Sure, your room or mine?" "Yours has the better view," he said with a grin. We settled onto my bed, propping up pillows against the headboard. Tyler grabbed the remote for the TV mounted on the wall and found some nature documentary about ocean life. We'd watched countless movies and shows together over the years, often falling asleep on the couch, but this felt different, more intimate. Maybe it was the darkness, or the fact that we were in bed, or the way Tyler's arm was pressed against mine. "This okay?" he asked, glancing over at me. "Yeah," I said, my voice coming out rougher than intended. "It's good." We watched in comfortable silence for a while, the narrator's soothing voice describing the mysteries of the deep sea. I was acutely aware of every point of contact between us, every breath, every small movement. "Alex," Tyler said eventually, his voice cutting through the narrator's monologue, "can I ask you something?" My heart started pounding. Of course. He was quiet for a long moment and I could feel the tension radiating off him. Whatever he wanted to ask, it was clearly difficult for him. "Do you ever," he started then stopped. "Never mind, it's stupid." "Come on, you can ask me anything, you know that." He turned to look at me and in the flickering light from the TV his expression was intense, almost searching. "Do you ever feel like you're living the wrong life, like you're doing all the things you're supposed to do, checking all the boxes but something's missing?" The question caught me off guard. This was deeper than our usual late-night conversations, more vulnerable. Sometimes I admitted, what brought this on? He shook his head, looking back at the TV. I don't know, being up here away from everything, it's making me think about what I want, what makes me happy. He paused. You make me happy, you know that, like genuinely happy. I can be completely myself around you. My throat felt tight. You make me happy too, Ty, you're my best friend. Right, best friends, something flickered across his face, too quick for me to read. That's good, yeah. The documentary continued playing, but neither of us was watching anymore. The silence stretched between us, heavy with words unsaid. We should probably get some sleep, Tyler finally said, but he made no move to get up. Probably. Neither of us moved. We stayed there, shoulders touching, the space between us feeling both infinite and non-existent until Tyler eventually fell asleep, his breathing evening out. I watched him for a moment, his face relaxed in sleep, and felt my heart break a little more. This was my life, loving someone I couldn't have, pretending everything was fine, living in the space between friendship and something more without ever being able to cross that line. I carefully got up, grabbed an extra blanket, and covered Tyler with it. He stirred slightly but didn't wake. I climbed back into bed, keeping a careful distance now, and finally fell into a restless sleep filled with dreams I wouldn't remember in the morning. I woke to sunlight streaming through the windows and the sound of Tyler's soft snoring beside me. At some point during the night, we'd gravitated toward each other. His arm was draped across my chest, his face pressed against my shoulder, our legs tangled together under the blankets. For one perfect, peaceful moment, I let myself enjoy it. I let myself imagine this was my life, that I got to wake up next to Tyler every morning, that his arm around me meant what I wanted it to mean. Then reality crashed back in and I carefully extracted myself from his embrace. Tyler stirred, blinking awake, looking confused about where he was. Morning, I said, trying to sound normal. Hey, he sat up, running a hand through his hair. I fell asleep here, sorry man. It's fine, we've fallen asleep watching stuff together before. Yeah, but usually on the couch, not in bed together, he laughed, but it sounded forced. Derek and Sarah probably would have gotten the wrong idea if they'd walked in. Good thing they didn't then. There was an awkward beat, both of us not quite meeting each other's eyes. Then Tyler stretched and stood up. I'm going to grab a shower, meet you downstairs for breakfast. Sounds good. After he left, I sat on the edge of the bed, trying to collect myself. This was exactly why I'd been worried about this weekend. Being this close to Tyler in this romantic setting was making it harder to maintain the careful walls I'd built around my feelings. I needed to get it together. Breakfast was a cheerful affair. Sarah had made pancakes, bacon, and fresh coffee, and we ate while discussing our plans for the day. The ski resort Derek mentioned was North Star, and we'd apparently gotten lucky with the timing. Fresh snow had fallen overnight, making for perfect conditions. I haven't been skiing in years, I admitted as we cleaned up. I'm probably going to be terrible. That's what makes it fun, Derek said with a grin. Plus, there's a great lodge where we can grab lunch and drinks. It's a whole experience. We all piled into Derek's SUV, which was much more equipped for mountain driving than Tyler's Civic. The drive to the resort was beautiful, winding through snow-covered pines with occasional glimpses of the lake through the trees. At the resort, we rented equipment and got our lift tickets. I'd forgotten how heavy and awkward ski boots were, clomping around in them like I was wearing cement blocks. Looking good, Tyler teased as I nearly fell over just standing still. Shut up, you're not exactly graceful yourself. But I'm pretty, so it doesn't matter. He said it jokingly, but he wasn't wrong. Tyler looked unfairly good in his ski gear, his cheeks already pink from the cold, his eyes bright with excitement. Derek and Sarah were experienced skiers and headed off to the more challenging slopes after making us promise to text if we needed anything. Tyler and I took the lift to the beginner area, sitting side by side as we rose above the snow-covered landscape. You nervous? Tyler asked. Terrified, I admitted. I'm going to fall on my ass so many times. I'll fall with you, that way you won't be embarrassed alone. It was such a Tyler thing to say, offering to make a fool of himself just so I'd feel better. It was one of the million little things that made me love him. The first run was exactly as disastrous as I'd predicted. I made it maybe 20 feet before my skis crossed and I went down in a tangle of limbs and equipment. Tyler, true to his word, fell about 10 seconds later, though I suspected his was intentional. We spent the next 2 hours on those bunny slopes, falling, laughing, helping each other up, and gradually getting slightly less terrible. Tyler was a natural athlete and picked it up quickly, but he stayed with me the whole time, cheering when I made it down without falling and offering tips that actually helped. "You're getting it," he said after I managed a relatively smooth run. "See, you just needed to commit to the turns." "I'm still terrible." "But you're better than you were an hour ago, that's progress." We took a break for lunch at the lodge, meeting up with Derek and Sarah. They looked exhilarated from their time on the Black Diamond runs, and Derek immediately launched into a story about Sarah nearly colliding with a snowboarder. "It was fine," Sarah insisted. "I had it under control." "You screamed," Derek pointed out. "I did not scream," I expressed surprise loudly. We all laughed and I felt grateful for how easy they were to be around. There was no pressure to be anything other than ourselves, no judgment, just genuine friendliness. After lunch, Tyler and I did a few more runs before calling it quits. My legs were burning, I was soaked from falling in the snow so many times, and I was ready to be done. "Hot tub time," Tyler suggested as we returned our equipment. "God, yes, that sounds perfect." We met Derek and Sarah back at the car, all of us tired but in good spirits. The drive back to the cabin was quieter, everyone exhausted from the day. I found myself dozing off against the window, waking only when we pulled into the driveway. Back at the cabin, we all immediately headed to our rooms to change. I dug out my swim trunks, grabbed a towel, and tried not to think too hard about seeing Tyler shirtless in the hot tub. I'd seen Tyler without a shirt countless times over the years. We'd lived together, gone to the beach together, changed in the same room countless times, but something about tonight felt different, more charged, or maybe I was just tired and reading into things. I met Tyler in the hallway. He was wearing black swim trunks and a hoodie, towel slung over his shoulder, and my breath caught slightly. "Get it together, Alex." "Ready?" he asked. "As I'll ever be." We headed downstairs and out to the deck. The sun was setting over the lake, painting the sky in shades of orange, pink, and purple. The hot tub was already bubbling, steam rising into the cold evening air. Derek and Sarah were already in, sitting close together on one side. "Water's perfect," Sarah called. "Get in." Tyler pulled off his hoodie and I tried not to stare at his chest, at the lean muscle and the way his skin looked in the fatting light. I followed suit, quickly slipping into the hot water before the cold air could make me change my mind. The water was perfect, hot enough to be soothing but not uncomfortable. I sank down until it reached my shoulders, the tension immediately starting to drain from my sore muscles. "This is heaven," I groaned. Tyler slipped in next to me, sitting closer than necessary given the size of the hot tub. Our legs brushed underwater and I felt electricity shoot through me at the contact. "How are you guys feeling after today?" Derek asked, reaching for the beer cooler he'd placed beside the hot tub. "Sore," I admitted, "but in a good way." "Alex did great for not having skied in years," Tyler said, and I felt his hand briefly touch my shoulder under the water. "He's a natural." I fell approximately 40 times. "But with style," Tyler insisted, grinning at me. We settled into easy conversation as the sky darkened, stars beginning to appear overhead. Derek and Sarah told us about their favorite ski trips, and Tyler shared stories from our college days that had Sarah laughing so hard she had tears in her eyes. The beers flowed, the conversation got looser, and I felt myself relaxing in a way I hadn't in months. The combination of the hot water, the alcohol, the good company, and Tyler's presence beside me created a bubble of contentment I didn't want to burst. "I'm getting prunny," Sarah announced after about an hour, "and hungry. Should we think about dinner?" "I could eat," Derek agreed. "What are you guys thinking?" "There's that pizza place in town that delivers," Tyler suggested. "We could keep it easy tonight." Everyone agreed and Derek and Sarah climbed out of the hot tub, wrapping themselves in towels. "You guys coming?" Sarah asked. "I think I'll stay in a bit longer," Tyler said. "Soak out the rest of the soreness, Alex." "I should have gotten out?" Every instinct I had that was designed for self-preservation was screaming at me to follow Derek and Sarah inside, to not be alone with Tyler in this intimate setting. But I was tired of listening to that voice. "I'll stay too," I heard myself say. "Cool, just text us your pizza order when you're ready," Derek said, and then they were gone, their voices fatting as they went inside. And suddenly, it was just Tyler and me, alone in the hot tub with steam rising around us and the stars overhead and the sound of the water bubbling between us. The silence that fell after Derek and Sarah left wasn't uncomfortable exactly, but it was heavy with something unspoken. Tyler shifted in the water, turning slightly toward me. And I became hyper-aware of every point where our bodies were close. "Beautiful night," Tyler said, tilting his head back to look at the stars. "Yeah," I agreed, though I was looking at him instead of the sky. The lights from the cabin cast a soft glow across his face, highlighting his profile, the curve of his jaw, the way water droplets clung to his eyelashes. "Alex," he said, still looking up at the stars, "can I tell you something?" My heart started pounding, of course. He was quiet for a long moment and I watched his throat work as he swallowed. When he finally spoke, his voice was barely above a whisper. "I think I've been lying to myself for a really long time." "About what?" He turned to face me then, and the look in his eyes made my breath catch. There was vulnerability there and fear and something else I couldn't quite name, but that made hope bloom dangerously in my chest. "About what I want, about who I am," he paused, running a wet hand through his hair, "about how I feel about you." Time seemed to stop. The water, the stars, the world around us, everything faded except Tyler's face, his eyes locked on mine, waiting for my response. "Ty," I started, but I didn't know how to finish, didn't know if I could trust what I thought I was hearing. "Sarah asked me something today," he continued, the words coming faster now like a dam had broken. "When we were grilling, she asked if you and I were together, and I said no, of course not, we're just friends, but then she said something that I haven't been able to stop thinking about." "What did she say?" "She said that the way I talk about you, the way I look at you, she said it doesn't look like friendship to her." He laughed, but it sounded almost painful. "And I realized she's right, it's not friendship, not just friendship, it hasn't been for a long time and I've been too scared to admit it." I couldn't breathe, couldn't think, couldn't process what was happening. "I'm in love with you, Alex," Tyler said, and his voice cracked on my name. "I think I have been for years, but I didn't let myself see it. I kept dating women, kept telling myself I was straight, kept pushing these feelings down because I was terrified of what it meant. But I can't anymore, I can't keep pretending." Tears were burning behind my eyes, this couldn't be real. This was exactly the fantasy I'd tortured myself with for 6 years, the impossible dream I'd given up on. "Say something," Tyler pleaded, and I realized I'd been silent for too long. "Please, even if you don't feel the same way, even if this ruins everything, just say something." "You love me," I managed to get out, my voice hoarse. "So much it scares me, so much that I don't know how I didn't see it before. You're the first person I think about when I wake up and the last person I think about before I sleep. You're the person I want to tell everything to, the person who makes me laugh harder than anyone else, the person I can't imagine my life without." He moved closer, close enough that I could feel his breath on my face. "And lately, you're the person I want to kiss so badly it physically hurts." A sob broke free from my chest, part laugh and part cry, and suddenly tears were streaming down my face, mixing with the water from the hot tub. "Why are you crying?" Tyler asked, reaching up to wipe my cheeks, his touch gentle. "Is it because you don't feel the same way? Because if that's it, we can figure this out. We can still be friends, I promise I won't make it weird." "Tyler, stop," I interrupted, grabbing his hand. "I'm crying because I've been in love with you since sophomore year of college. I'm crying because I've spent 6 years convinced you could never feel the same way. I'm crying because I can't believe this is actually happening." His eyes widened. 6 years. 6 years since that night at the Overlook when you talked about Emma. Since I realized I wanted to spend the rest of my life making sure you never felt like you weren't enough. More tears came and I couldn't stop them. "I've loved you for so long, Ty, so long that I forgot what it felt like to not love you." "Oh my God," he breathed, and then he was crying too, tears tracking down his face. "6 years, Alex, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry it took me this long to figure out. I'm sorry you had to hide it. I'm sorry." "Don't apologize," I said, squeezing his hand. You can't apologize for not being ready, for needing time to figure yourself out. But you've been hurting this whole time. I've also been happy. Being your friend, even just your friend, has been one of the best parts of my life. I meant what I said last night. You make me happy. He let out a watery laugh. We're a mess. Yeah, we are. We sat there for a moment, both of us crying and laughing, still holding hands underwater. The enormity of what had just happened was slowly sinking in. Tyler loved me. Tyler was in love with me. The fantasy I'd held in my heart for 6 years was real. Can I kiss you? Tyler asked softly. I've been thinking about it constantly, and now that I know you want it too, I don't think I can wait another second. In answer, I closed the distance between us, pressing my lips to his. It was soft at first, tentative, both of us trembling, but then Tyler's hand came up to cup my face and he deepened the kiss, and it was everything I'd ever imagined and more. He tasted like beer and chlorine and something uniquely Tyler. His lips were soft but insistent, and when he pulled me closer, I went willingly, our bodies pressing together in the water. 6 years of longing, of restraint, of carefully maintained distance evaporated in that kiss. When we finally pulled apart, both breathing hard, Tyler rested his forehead against mine. Wow, he whispered. Yeah. I want to do that again. Please. This kiss was different, hungrier, more confident. Tyler's hands were in my hair and mine were on his waist, and we were kissing like we'd been doing it for years instead of seconds, like we were trying to make up for all the time we'd lost. We should probably talk about this, I said when we came up for air again, figure out what this means. It means you're mine and I'm yours, Tyler said simply. It means I'm done pretending. It means I want to wake up next to you every morning for real, not just when we accidentally fall asleep watching documentaries. I laughed, joy bubbling up in my chest. What about work? What about our friends? What about? We'll figure it out, he interrupted. Together, but right now in this moment, can we just be happy? Can we just enjoy this? He was right. There would be time for logistics and planning and navigating the changes this would bring to our lives. But right now, in this hot tub under the stars, with Tyler's arms around me and his smile lighting up his face, I just wanted to be present. I love you, I said, and it felt incredible to say it out loud after keeping it locked inside for so long. I love you too, Tyler replied, kissing me again softly. God, I'm never going to get tired of saying that. We stayed in the hot tub for another hour, talking and kissing and occasionally just holding each other in wonder. Tyler told me about the moment he'd started to realize his feelings, how it had been a gradual awakening rather than a sudden revelation. He talked about the confusion and fear, about questioning everything he thought he knew about himself. I told him about the years of hiding, about the relationships I'd had that never worked because they weren't him, about the times I'd almost told him but couldn't bring myself to risk our friendship. I wish I'd known sooner, Tyler said, his thumb tracing patterns on my shoulder. I wish I hadn't wasted so much time. It wasn't wasted, I assured him. You needed that time, and honestly, I'm not sure I was ready either. I had to learn to be okay with just being your friend first. I had to learn that loving you didn't mean I was entitled to you loving me back. But I do love you back so much. I know that now. Eventually, we got too prunny and hungry to stay in any longer. We climbed out reluctantly, wrapping ourselves in towels and heading inside. The warmth of the cabin was a shock after the cold night air, and we stood dripping in the entryway for a moment. Should we tell them? Tyler asked, nodding toward the living room where we could hear Derek and Sarah talking. Do you want to? He grinned. Yeah, actually, I want everyone to know. We found Derek and Sarah curled up on the couch watching a movie. They looked up when we came in, and Sarah's eyes immediately widened. Oh my God, she said, sitting up straight. Something happened. That obvious? I asked. You're both glowing and Tyler can't stop smiling, so yeah, pretty obvious. She looked between us, her own smile growing. Did you guys finally figure it out? Finally, Tyler repeated. Derek laughed. Dude, it's been painful to watch. Sarah called it within 5 minutes of meeting you guys. It's true, Sarah confirmed. The way you look at each other, the way you orbit each other. I told Derek you were either together or desperately needed to be. Tyler reached for my hand, lacing our fingers together. Well, we figured it out, we're together, officially. Finally, Sarah exclaimed, jumping up to hug us both. I'm so happy for you guys. Derek clapped Tyler on the shoulder. About damn time, man, congratulations. We ordered pizza and the four of us stayed up late talking. Tyler kept his hand in mine the whole time, occasionally squeezing it like he needed to make sure I was really there. Sarah wanted to know everything, how it happened, how long we'd had feelings for each other, what our plans were. Honestly, we haven't figured all that out yet, I admitted. This literally just happened like 2 hours ago. Take your time, Derek said, but for what it's worth, you guys make a great couple. It's really obvious you care about each other. Around midnight, we all headed upstairs. Tyler and I stood in the hallway between our rooms, neither of us wanting to separate. So, Tyler said, still holding my hand, your room or mine? Are you asking me to sleep with you? I teased. He blushed. I mean, actually sleep, just, I don't want to be apart from you, not tonight. Mine has the better view, remember. We ended up in my room, both of us in our pajamas, lying face to face in the bed we'd shared just the night before. But everything was different now. Tyler could touch me freely, could pull me close without pretending it was casual. I could run my fingers through his hair, could kiss him whenever I wanted. This feels like a dream, I whispered in the darkness. If it is, I don't want to wake up. What happens when we get back to the city? I asked, voicing the worry that had been nagging at the back of my mind. What changes? Tyler thought about it for a moment. Everything and nothing, we're still roommates, still best friends, but now I get to kiss you, now I get to tell you I love you whenever I want, now we don't have to hide. What about your family, your coworkers? We'll figure it out as we go, but Alex, I'm not scared of this, I'm not scared of us, I've never been more sure of anything in my life. He kissed me softly. Are you scared? Terrified, I admitted, but also happier than I've ever been. We'll be terrified together then. I fell asleep wrapped in Tyler's arms, his heartbeat steady against my ear, and for the first time in 6 years I didn't have to hide how I felt. I didn't have to wake up and pretend. I could just love him openly and completely and know that he loved me back. I woke up slowly, awareness returning in pieces, the warmth of sunlight on my face, the sound of birds outside, the weight of an arm draped over my waist, the smell of Tyler's cologne on the pillow beside me. Tyler. Everything from the night before came rushing back, and I opened my eyes to find him already awake, watching me with a soft smile. Hey, he said quietly. Hey, I couldn't help but smile back. How long have you been awake? A while. I didn't want to wake you, you looked peaceful. He reached up and brushed hair off my forehead. Plus, I wanted to make sure it was real, that last night actually happened. It happened, I confirmed, turning to face him fully. You told me you loved me, I told you I loved you, we kissed in a hot tub like we were in a romance movie. He laughed, the sound warm and happy, best moment of my life. Mine too. We lay there for a while just looking at each other, occasionally exchanging soft kisses, still marveling at the fact that we could do this now, that this was allowed, that we were together. I've been thinking, Tyler said eventually, about what happens next. Yes. I want to do this right. I want to take you on dates, real dates. I want to introduce you as my boyfriend, not just my roommate. He paused, looking almost shy. I want to show you off. I want everyone to know how lucky I am. My heart squeezed, boyfriend. If you want to be, I know we just got together, but. Yes, I interrupted. Definitely yes, I want to be your boyfriend. His smile was blinding. Yeah. I've wanted to be your boyfriend for 6 years, so yeah, I'm pretty sure. He kissed me then, deep and thorough, and I melted into it. We were still kissing when there was a knock on the door. You guys better be decent, Sarah's voice called. I'm making breakfast and you need to eat before it gets cold. We broke apart, both laughing. We'll be down in 10, Tyler called back. Breakfast was a cheerful affair. Sarah had made French toast, bacon, and fresh fruit, and we ate on the deck despite the cold, bundled in blankets with coffee warming our hands. The morning light on the lake was stunning, and I felt an overwhelming sense of contentment. So what's the plan for today? Derek asked. Last day in paradise. I was thinking we could take a hike, Sarah suggested. There's a great trail that leads to a viewpoint overlooking the lake. It's about 2 hours round trip. I'm in, I said, Ty. Sounds perfect. After breakfast, we all bundled up in warm clothes and hiking boots. The trail Sarah mentioned started just a mile from the cabin, winding through pine forests and over rocky terrain. Derek and Sarah took the lead, while Tyler and I followed behind, our hands occasionally brushing as we walked. "Can I hold your hand?" Tyler asked quietly, glancing ahead to make sure Derek and Sarah were far enough ahead. "You don't have to ask," I told him, lacing my fingers through his. It felt surreal walking through the forest hand in hand with Tyler, something I'd imagined countless times but never thought would happen. Every few minutes I had to resist the urge to pinch myself. The hike was challenging but beautiful, taking us up steep inclines with views of the lake peeking through the trees. When we finally reached the viewpoint, it took my breath away. The entire lake spread out before us, surrounded by snow-capped mountains, the water so blue it looked unreal. "Worth it," Sarah said, pulling out her phone to take pictures. "Definitely," Tyler agreed, but he was looking at me instead of the view. Derek noticed and grinned. "You two are disgustingly cute, you know that." "Let them be," Sarah chided, but she was smiling too. "They have 6 years to make up for." We took pictures at the viewpoint, Sarah insisting on getting several of Tyler and me together. In one, Tyler's arm was around my waist, my head on his shoulder, both of us smiling at the camera. In another, he'd turned to kiss my cheek just as Sarah snapped the photo. "These are going to be perfect for your announcement post," Sarah said, showing us the photos. "Announcement post?" I asked. "You know, when you tell everyone you're together, Instagram, Facebook, whatever you use." Tyler and I exchanged glances. We hadn't really talked about how public we wanted to be, how we'd tell people. "We haven't really thought about that yet," Tyler admitted. "Well, whenever you're ready," Sarah said, "but these photos are adorable." The hike back down was easier and we made it to the cabin by early afternoon. We'd decided to head back to the city that evening, wanting to get home before it got too late. The weekend had been perfect, but I was also looking forward to starting our new reality back home. We packed our bags, cleaned up our rooms, and helped Sarah and Derek straighten up the cabin. There was a bittersweet quality to leaving, knowing that this magical weekend bubble was ending and real life was waiting for us. "Thanks again for having us," I told Derek and Sarah as we loaded our bags into Tyler's car. "This was incredible." "Are you kidding? Thank you for coming," Sarah said, hugging me, "and for finally getting your act together. I would have had to meddle if you'd waited any longer." "She absolutely would have," Derek confirmed. "She was already planning interventions." We said our goodbyes and hit the road, Tyler driving again while I controlled the music. The drive back felt different than the drive up. There was a new ease between us, a freedom that came from not having to hide anymore. About an hour into the drive, Tyler reached over and took my hand, resting our joined hands on the center console. "I've been thinking about what Sarah said," he said, "about telling people." "Yes. I want to tell people, not like a big announcement or anything, but I don't want to hide this. Is that okay with you?" "More than okay," I assured him. "I'm done hiding too, but Ty, are you sure? Coming out is a big deal, you don't have to rush it." He was quiet for a moment, his thumb rubbing circles on the back of my hand. "I know, and I'm sure there will be complicated feelings and questions and probably some difficult conversations, but I'm sure about you, about us, and I'd rather deal with complications than keep pretending." "What about your family?" Tyler's relationship with his family was complicated. His parents were conservative, religious, and had very specific expectations for his life. We talked about it before, how he sometimes felt like he was disappointing them just by being himself. "That's going to be hard," he admitted. "I'm not going to lie, my parents, they're not going to take this well, but I can't live my life for them anymore, I have to live it for me." He glanced over at me. "For us. We'll do it together," I promised. "Whatever happens, we'll handle it together." "Together," he repeated, smiling. "I like the sound of that." We stopped at the same diner on the way back, sitting in the same booth. But this time, Tyler sat next to me instead of across from me, his thigh pressed against mine, his hand finding mine under the table. The waitress who took our order didn't comment, but I saw her smile when she noticed our joined hands. "Same as last time?" she asked. "You have a good memory," Tyler said. "Honey, I've been working here for 30 years, you remember the couples," she winked at us. I'll get that right out for you. After she left, Tyler turned to me. She called us a couple. Yeah, she did. That felt good, really good. The rest of the drive passed quickly, filled with conversation and comfortable silences and Tyler singing off-key to songs on the radio. By the time we pulled up to our apartment building, it was dark, the city lights welcoming us home. We hauled our bags upstairs and the apartment felt different somehow. Or maybe I just felt different. Like I was seeing it with new eyes, imagining a future where Tyler and I were more than just roommates. Home sweet home, Tyler said, dropping his bag by the door. He turned to me, pulling me close. Feels different, doesn't it? Everything feels different. Good different. The best different. He kissed me, slow and sweet, and I wondered if I'd ever get used to this. To being allowed to kiss him whenever I wanted, to having him look at me like I was his whole world. So, Tyler said when we finally pulled apart, what do we do now? What do you mean? I mean, it's Sunday night, we have work tomorrow, everything goes back to normal except nothing is normal anymore. He ran his hands down my arms. Do we tell people right away? Do we wait? Do we? Hey, I interrupted gently. We don't have to figure everything out tonight, we can just take it one day at a time, no pressure. He nodded, some of the tension leaving his shoulders. One day at a time, I can do that. We ordered Thai food for dinner and ate on the couch, Tyler's head on my shoulder as we watched a mindless sitcom. It was ordinary and domestic and perfect. I could get used to this, Tyler murmured during a commercial break. Which part? All of it, coming home to you, eating dinner together, not having to pretend. He tilted his head up to look at me, being able to do this. He kissed me softly. Me too. That night, for the first time in our apartment, Tyler came to my room not as a friend who couldn't sleep but as my boyfriend. We lay in bed talking until late, making plans for our first official date, laughing about how oblivious we'd both been and mapping out how we wanted to navigate this new chapter. I'm scared, Tyler admitted in the darkness, of messing this up, of not being good enough at this. You're not going to mess it up, I assured him. And you're already good at this, you've been my person for 6 years, that doesn't change just because we're adding kissing to the equation. He laughed, kissing and some other stuff hopefully. Definitely some other stuff, but there's no rush, we'll figure it out as we go. Together. Together. The next morning, we woke up tangled together in my bed, Tyler's alarm going off from somewhere in the pile of blankets. He groaned, reaching blindly to silence it. Do we have to go to work? He mumbled into my shoulder. Unfortunately, yes, bills don't pay themselves. Stupid bills, stupid work. I laughed, running my fingers through his messy hair. Come on, I'll make coffee. We went through our morning routine, but it was different now. Tyler kissed me while I was brushing my teeth, making me laugh and almost choke on toothpaste. I hugged him from behind while he made breakfast, pressing my face between his shoulder blades. Every touch felt significant, a small rebellion against all the years we'd kept our distance. What's your day look like? Tyler asked as we ate breakfast. Meetings all morning, then I need to finish up that design project, Presentation at 10, then working on the tech startup campaign. Should be a pretty normal day. He paused. Derek's going to ask me about the weekend. Are you going to tell him? Yeah, I think so, he already knows anyway, might as well confirm it. Tyler looked at me nervously. Is that okay? Ty, you don't need my permission to tell people. I want you to tell people I'm proud to be your boyfriend. His smile was so bright it could have powered the whole city. Boyfriend, I'm never going to get tired of hearing that. We left for work at the same time, heading in different directions with promises to text throughout the day. It felt weird to separate after the bubble of the weekend, but also exciting to have this secret we were carrying with us. My morning meetings were brutal, my boss still unhappy with the design concepts, pushing for revisions that I thought would make everything worse. By lunch, I was frustrated and exhausted, and Tyler's texts were the only thing keeping me sane. Tyler * Derek just cornered me in the break room, he's very excited about us. Me * that's good, right? Tyler * very good, he also said he called it from day one. Apparently I talk about you an abnormal amount for a straight guy. Me * lol, he's not wrong. Tyler * I also told Jen from accounting. She cried happy tears and told me she'd been shipping us for 2 years. Me asterisk shipping us, are we a fandom now? Tyler asterisk apparently, she even had a couple name picked out, we're Tylex. Me asterisk that's terrible. Tyler asterisk I know, I told her we're going with Allier instead. Me asterisk that's worse. Tyler asterisk fine we'll workshop it. I was smiling at my phone when my coworker Marcus appeared at my desk. Good news from the boyfriend, he asked casually. I looked up, startled. Marcus knew I was gay, we'd talked about dating here and there, but I'd never specifically mentioned Tyler to him. Something like that, I said carefully. Your glowing man must be serious. On impulse, I decided to just say it. It is, actually, we just got together this weekend. That's great, how long have you been seeing each other? We've been best friends for 6 years, the romantic part is new as of Saturday night. Marcus's eyes widened. Wait, is this your roommate Tyler? Yeah. Dude, I remember you mentioning him before, I always wondered if there was something there. Apparently everyone wondered except us. We talked for a few more minutes, Marcus asking questions and seeming genuinely happy for me. It felt good to talk about Tyler openly, to not have to censor myself or hide how I felt. By the time I got home that evening, I'd told 3 more people. It was getting easier each time and the reactions had all been positive. Excited even, it made me realize how obvious our feelings must have been to everyone else. Tyler was already home, cooking dinner in the kitchen, actual cooking, not just ordering takeout. He looked up when I came in, his face lighting up. Hey you, he said, wiping his hands on a towel and coming over to kiss me. How was the rest of your day? Better now, what are you making? Stir fry, I'm trying to expand my culinary repertoire beyond toast and scrambled eggs. I'm impressed, need help. Just keep me company. I sat at the counter while Tyler cooked, telling him about my day and the people I'd told. He'd told several more people at his office, including his boss, who'd apparently said, finally, we were starting a betting pool on how long it would take you two to figure it out. Everyone knew, Tyler said, shaking his head. How did everyone know except us? We were too close to see it, I guess. Dinner was actually good, the stir-fry only slightly overcooked, and we ate at our small dining table instead of on the couch like we usually did. This feels like a date, I commented. It is a date, our first official dinner date, even if it's just at home. I like it very low-key. Well, our second date is going to be fancier. I'm taking you to that Italian place you love on Friday night. My heart swelled, you don't have to do that. I want to take you on proper dates, Alex, I want to do this right. After dinner, we settled on the couch to watch TV and Tyler pulled me against him, my back to his chest, his arms wrapped around me. It was comfortable and intimate and everything I'd ever wanted. I need to tell my parents, Tyler said during a commercial. I've been avoiding thinking about it, but I need to do it soon, before they hear it from someone else. When do you want to tell them? Maybe this weekend, we could drive down Saturday, tell them in person. Wait. He squeezed me tighter. If you're okay with it, I'd like you there for moral support. Tyler's parents lived about 2 hours south in a small town near Monterey. I'd met them a handful of times over the years, at Tyler's graduation, at a couple of holidays when he'd invited me along because I wasn't going home to my family. They'd always been polite to me, if a bit distant. Of course I'll be there, I said. If you want me there, I'm there. It's going to be bad, Tyler said quietly. My dad, he's not going to take this well. He has very specific ideas about how life should be, and this doesn't fit into any of them. Then we'll deal with it. Whatever happens, whatever they say, we'll get through it. You have a lot of faith in us. I have faith in you, and I have faith in how I feel about you. That's enough for me. The rest of the week passed in a blur of work, coming home to each other, and gradually telling more people about our relationship. My mom was thrilled when I called her, saying she'd always liked Tyler and thought we'd be good together. My sister demanded to know every detail of how we got together and threatened Tyler with bodily harm if he ever hurt me. By Friday, most of our friends knew. We'd decided to make a small post on social media that weekend, something simple, but we wanted to tell Tyler's parents first. Our Friday date night was perfect. Tyler picked me up at our apartment like he didn't live there, bringing me flowers and everything. We walked to the Italian restaurant, sat at a cozy corner table, and talked for hours over pasta and wine. Tyler held my hand across the table, and I didn't miss the way several people smiled at us. "This is nice," Tyler said as we walked home, our hands still linked. Being able to do this in public, not hiding. "Yeah, it is. Are you nervous about tomorrow?" "A little," I admitted, "more nervous for you than anything. I don't want to see you hurting." "I'll have you there, that makes it easier." Saturday morning came too quickly. We packed a bag for an overnight stay. Tyler's mom always insisted we stay over rather than drive back the same day, and hit the road by 9. The drive was tense despite our best efforts to keep the conversation light. Tyler's hands were tight on the steering wheel, his jaw clenched, and I could practically see the anxiety rolling off him. "We don't have to do this today," I said about halfway there. "We can wait, tell them later." "No,